welcome to this explainer. Imagine, just for a second, trying to map the vast, incredibly complex subcontinent of India down to its inland cities and tribal regions over 1,000 years ago. Oh, and here's the kicker. You can't ever leave your hometown. Today, we're exploring the mind of the fascinating Greco-Egyptian scholar Claudius Ptolemy to see exactly how he pulled off this ancient masterclass in data synthesis.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the central paradox of our story. How do you map a massive, diverse country without ever actually setting foot in it? Ptolemy wasn't some rugged explorer hacking his way through jungles. Not at all. He was an armchair cartographer. He was a scholar, sitting at a desk, synthesizing an absolute mountain of secondhand data to visualize a land thousands of miles away. It's like a giant puzzle.
So, to really understand how he pulled this off, we have to look at his environment. Born around 100 CE, Ptolemy lived in Egypt right during the height of the Roman Empire. As a scholar deeply steeped in Greek culture, but operating at this very specific global crossroads, well, he had unparalleled access to the flow of ancient global commerce. He was literally sitting right in the middle of the action. But before we actually look at his maps, we have to grasp the sheer scale of Ptolemy's intellect. He famously championed the geocentric theory, the mathematical argument that the Earth sat directly at the center of the cosmos. Now, obviously, we know today this is incorrect, but his models were so painstakingly detailed that they were the absolute dominant view of the universe for 1,400 years until Copernicus came along. He was completely obsessed with mathematical order, and he was about to apply that exact same obsession to the surface of the Earth. And this brilliantly illustrates his heavyweight status, because his brilliance extended across multiple scientific disciplines. He wrote these massive foundational texts like the Almagest for astronomy and optics for the study of light. But for our journey today, the absolutely pivotal text is Geographia. This was the whole shebang, his magnum opus on maps and coordinates, and it contains his breathtakingly detailed descriptions of ancient India. Right, so where did a man who never traveled get all this information? The answer is his hometown, Alexandria, Egypt. I want you to think of Alexandria, with its famous Great Library, not just as a city, but really as the ancient world's ultimate data processing center. Ptolemy knew the Earth was round, and he sat at the center of this thriving metropolis, systematically gathering every single scrap of geographic intelligence that flowed through its busy streets and harbors.
Essentially, Ptolemy tapped into the ultimate ancient information pipeline, Indo-Roman trade. These physical trade routes acted just like an ancient fiber optic cable. When Greek merchants and Roman sailors returned to Alexandria loaded with Indian spices, silk, or ivory, they weren't just bringing luxury goods, they were bringing raw data. By intensely interrogating these sailors, Ptolemy extracted marine routes, located inland markets, and identified local tribes. They were quite literally his eyes and ears on the ground.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how he handled all that information. Faced with this chaotic mountain of merchant data, Ptolemy needed a systematic way to conceptually organize this massive Indian landmass. So he brilliantly divided the subcontinent into two distinct regions, using the Ganges River as his anchor. You had India intragangium, India on the near side of the Ganges, and India extragangium, representing everything beyond it. It was a rigorous, structural way to categorize a geography he couldn't actually see.
So, what exactly did this pipeline yield? Honestly, an astonishing amount. He successfully plotted the mighty Ganges and Indus rivers and documented all these western and southern seaports, which makes sense, right, given his merchant sources. But the true marvel is his knowledge of deep inland cities like Ujjain and Pataliputra. Think about that for a second, pinpointing inland urban centers purely through an ancient, word-of-mouth sailor network is just a staggering feat of data collection. Now, of course, the map wasn't perfect. We have to weigh his scientific triumphs against his human limitations. On one hand, Ptolemy essentially invented the concept of using latitude and longitude coordinates, a highly advanced, almost GPS-like grid system for the 2nd century. But on the other hand, well, when you rely entirely on an ancient game of telephone, errors are going to compound. He got the physical shape of India completely wrong, misplaced several cities, and fell victim to unverified hearsay. The math was totally revolutionary. The raw data, a bit flawed. So the crucial point is, why do we still care about a mathematically flawed map today? Well, because Geographia is an absolute treasure map for modern historians. It provides an invaluable snapshot of ancient geography and definitively proves the depth of Indo-Roman trade links. Remarkably, historians actively use his coordinate records today to actually help identify and excavate lost ancient cities. It is, without a doubt, our best lens into exactly how the 2nd century Western world viewed India, capturing the vibrancy of early cultural contacts. And Ptolemy's influence absolutely didn't die with the Roman Empire. His work left a massive global legacy. It was preserved and fiercely studied by Arab scholars in the Middle Ages. And the eventual rediscovery of Geographia during the European Renaissance literally modernized cartography. That specific grid system of latitude and longitude survived the centuries. Actually, scratch that. It didn't just survive, it became the absolute foundation for the maps that guided the entire age of discovery. Which brings us to a final, kind of profound thought. Today, we are mapping the Mariana Trench and plotting the coordinates of distant exoplanets. But are we really doing anything fundamentally different than what Ptolemy did in his Alexandria library? As we map the deep ocean and deep space today, whose distant reports, from rovers, probes, and telescopes, are we relying on? Just like Ptolemy relied on sailors 1900 years ago. It's a real testament to the timeless human drive to just map the unknown. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the maps you use every day.